Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lisa DeMauro, and I am joined by my handsome husband, Christopher DeMauro, and we're here at the Talking Gravesend podcast, the podcast that celebrates William DeMayo's series, Gravesend.
We come from Springfield, baby. We come from Springfield. We come from Springfield, baby. We come from Springfield. We come from Springfield, baby. We come from Springfield. We come from Springfield, baby. We come from Springfield.
We love this series. It's why we decided to do this total video podcast series, celebrating it, diving deep into all of the characters, the locations, the sets, the writing. I mean, come on, I'm having a lot of fun with this.
Everything about it is great, including this podcast. So,
You know, we did this is a final episode in season 1. We spent this week recording here in our studio in Springfield, Massachusetts. We spent the week previous doing all the show prep. We're going to release everything hopefully by Sunday, get it out there. I know season 3 is about to come out. Everybody's talking about that's just the wraps. I think it's kind of fun. We're wrapping season 1 just a day or two after they wrap season 3.
that's right.
And then, of course, we're going to take a week. We're going to deal with some of our other shows. Because actually, Lisa, we produce a couple of different shows out of this studio.
Why,
we have
yes, we do.
a great pizza show, New England Pizza Fanatics, NE Pizza Fanatics. We have a great nightlife and casino entertainment and risk-taking podcast, Art in the Game. So go ahead and follow us on those other channels as well. And, of course, Lisa does some amazing fitness stuff.
At Blue Hour Lisa.
Yeah.
On all platforms.
So anyway, we wanted to just thank you for sticking around, all of the folks who have jumped into the Talking Gravesend podcast family who love this series like we do. It's the #1 organized crime time period piece streaming today, bar none. You're going to love it. It's filled with the characters, the story, and everything that you're looking for. So there's a little bit of a hype for it. All created by one man, William DeMayo. Wrote, produced, directed, stars in. I mean, the guy's a dynamo.
Absolutely.
So here we are. This is our end of the season. We're going to hopefully get into the next season real soon.
Yes.
But I hope you've enjoyed season 1 of Talking Gravesend podcast, as we've enjoyed really putting it together for you.
Absolutely.
All right, let's jump into season 4.
Here we go. We're episode 4.
St. Anthony.
St. Anthony.
And that's his saint. That's who he talks
Yes,
to
that's
in
who
every
he speaks
episode.
to when he is in the church.
Our Lady of Grace.
Absolutely.
So I want to, you know what? We're going to do something a little different on this episode. We're going to open the show with the opening scene. Okay? Here we go. All right. Oh, here's the sound. Okay. I love this
The song, yes, I mean.
Set it off. If you didn't know this song back in the day, you weren't in. You weren't into clubs. This was an awesome track. The first time I ever heard this song, I don't want to bring it up. And it's interesting because, you know, we're coming out of that heavy closing of the last episode. You know, he's alone, he's driving, he's coming back into Brooklyn.
He's illuminated in the eye from the rearview mirror. You know, does that ensue, or are we to assume that he's, you know, focusing a little bit, thinking about the past?
Sure. He drives by his church. He blesses himself. You know, just coming back to home and trying to kind of maybe relax to whatever's going on through his mind.
Yep. He drives by his church, as you said, and he pulls up to Joe's bar to talk to Jenny.
We see Joe's bar again, another one of his favorite spots.
Yes.
And we get to meet Jenny.
Yes, and we know Jenny's name now.
Yeah, the episode we didn't know, and I had to dig way down in, I think it was either Williams or Gravesend's IG feed. One of the very first posts was with Janan DeVita Del Bellio, and she's the individual who plays
Jenny.
And she's pretty great.
We like Jenny.
So he goes in, and one of the things I wanted to point out, do I have this scene? I might just have a little piece of it. Let's take a look. There's Jenny. Played by Janine. And the makeup. I couldn't find this song. I really like it. I didn't know what it was. Interesting, too, like a nice cast of different characters at the bar.
Like Benny's walking in his striped pants there.
How's your mom?
Hey, Ben.
All right.
That's so Italian. How's your mom?
You can't. That was the best thing that I liked about the scene. You have to ask people how their mom is. Even if you don't know their mother, you're going to ask them how their mom is. That's it. And if you met their father, you got to ask them how their dad is. I just had dinner last night. I saw someone I hadn't seen in a while. Of course, I had to ask them how their dad was. Yeah. Anyway, it's just a part of the culture that I love.
Was there any more to that scene, or was that?
No. So basically, he just goes in. That's all.
Yeah, he asked her, "What's up with you hitting the guy in the face?" That was Eddie.
He says, when's the last time you went and saw Vito? And she goes into it that she just went and saw him. It's going to be the last time. And Benny's like,
he
look,
wants
you can't
her
do
to be
that.
happy. She wants to move on and live her life, and that's what he wants her to do.
So he says, look, I'm going to take care of you. You don't have to work here anymore.
She wants to move to Florida. Benny, alludes to the fact he's going to take care of her a little bit. And then we move to the next scene.
So the next scene opens up with
Staten Island Bridge.
Staten Island Bridge with Virginia and Benny sitting there, kind of having a little talk. And I think I do have some of this. And this is
she
actually...
looks cute as a button, as always. And her cute little heels. And she must be so tiny.
This is a pivotal scene in the storyline because this is where you really realize that things are starting to go awry in the relationship between Virginia and Benny. And it's all Benny. You'll see here.
Yeah,
I have a
Benny's
little
having
piece
a
here.
little...
Here, let's see.
When ain't gonna happen?
Yeah, she asked him to go away on a vacation.
I'll work on it. I'll find time, hopefully soon.
And she's heard all this before.
Sounds like her daddy.
Yeah.
Did you hear what happened in that community?
So then she points over to what happened to the little boy Jacob in the Jewish community. And they talk a little bit about the bridge, and they call it the Guinea Gangplank. That's kind of the nickname for it, because a lot of the people move from Brooklyn over to Staten Island. And she says, when I make a move, I went to Texas. I went all the way. And that's how Benny was like, I'm going to go far away from here. And it was such an unbelievable delivery of the line. And I think it was really great acting on William's part. And so she knows it's bullshit. And she brings up going back to church, and if he's been there to light a candle. And he says, well, I don't want to talk about that anymore.
Yeah.
And then she's like, well, what do you...
And that's... He had said that to her before also about something else where he just didn't want to talk to her about it. And you could just tell that he's beginning to shut down a little bit. Maybe some of that newness in the relationship is wearing off.
Well, he's
some
under
of the
a lot of stress.
Well, I was
you know
just
what I
going to
mean?
say the stress is possibly getting to him. And then the next scene opens to the trash.
Yeah.
And so it shows the dump.
So yeah, he she kind of glances over. There's another couple sitting. I think you saw it in the scenes. Another
They're
couple kind of
there,
embracing
a little bit.
And she's just like, she realizes this freaking thing is going in the dump. And that's what Lisa said. The next opening scene is this giant scrap metal.
That's where the relationship could be headed. And that scene opens with Crazy Chris yelling at Benny about the fight. That Gino did. And he's like, come on, you just were forgiven here, and you're causing more problems for me.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting. It's a sit down, but it's not a sit down. It's a stand up.
It's a stand up in the trash
big
room.
Roccos, and everybody's there. Benny knows he's going to a meeting at a scrapyard isn't really a comfortable fucking drive up. Okay,
sure.
Let me just tune you into that. This isn't a restaurant. This is a place people fucking disappear. Okay, just for the record.
And do you think that, just for my own edification, do you feel like that location was chosen because?
Absolutely.
Can I finish my sentence?
Oh my God, yeah.
So do you think that place was chosen because of the noise, so that their conversation wouldn't be heard? Do you think that location was chosen to instill fear in Benny that, his position, he could be scrapped any day now? What do you think that location is signifying within that conversation?
So I think it signifies both things and what we just talked about the relationship with Virginia.
Going to the trash.
I think it's all of those things.
So great location.
I've seen, I don't want to say that. So yes, it is customary to have meetings in places where noise is so loud that if somebody was trying to listen with parabolics or whatever, they're not going to hear it. And
during that time in the 80s, were the listening devices.
Yes.
I always think about shoot the moon and that that level of listening surveillance at the time. So okay, and so Chris is yelling at Benny. Talking about the Gino fight, and then he brings up Carmine, and he says, are you still seeing Carmine's daughter? Because he's not very happy about that. And if you remember, it was kind of Chris that that goaded Benny into going over to Virginia initially and going and talking to her, which we always question. We're like, what's the intentions around that?
I agree. So this whole scene set kind of weird with me, and I want to talk about it. So number one, Chris says, I've been thinking, and maybe it's time for that kid to go. And that bosses rarely say fucking maybe.
Right.
They are
It's
100.
either
They're 99.99999% positive they're right. So that would be my own. That was an interesting thing. And then he brings up, like you said, Carmine's daughter, and he's not too happy about it.
And he's like, so what, do I have to stop seeing her? And he's like, no, I'm not saying that.
So why do you think Chris directed Benny to go talk to Virginia? Because he said her father ain't ever coming home.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Now, do you think that this is a way to gain Carmine Ruzzo's support for Benny and make Chris's crew stronger? Or is it a way to put Benny in a place where he can create reality and make him putty? So the next scene out of the scrapyard, they're kind of on the outside, and there's a really nice 308 Ferrari, the same Ferrari that Magnum P.I. drove. And there's a little yellow, about a quarter of a shot you see of a yellow Lamborghini Countach, which is every kid's favorite car, in my opinion, back in those days. And they were talking about how they got the serial numbers fixed, and not even the dealerships are going to be able to tell. So obviously, these are stolen cars, and it's all part of a stolen car scheme that Chris has got going on. And then the guy tells him, Chris brings up that his daughter's over the limit on his lease. And he goes, don't worry about it. We'll roll back those miles. No problem. So the next scene, Benny rolls into the Brooklyn Yacht Club. That's in Sheepshead Bay, and he's going there to meet Johnny Mad Dogs. He pulls up in his black Grand National, and already sitting there is Mad Dog's new black Monty SS, which was an awesome car back in the day. But the only thing about this scene is it had black rims, and I don't remember black rims in the late 80s, but I'm open to be corrected on that.
I don't remember.
You don't remember cars in the 80s. You had a Gran Torino, didn't you, in one of your first cars? Mad Dog and Benny have a little this and that. They talk, about what's going on with Matty Cigars. He wants to let them know the Gambinis are there to support him if there's a war. And then they bring up this little kind of reminiscing story where Mad Dog had to kill the guy who was stealing all the Joker poker machines. Funny enough, same story happened here. I don't want to get into it, but it's just funny. I guess every community has the guy who figures out how to steal the gambling machines. So the next scene opens. Tommaso's driving Benny's black Buick, and Don't Break My Heart by Sapphire is playing on the radio, and Tommaso talks about scoring some Beastie Boy tickets for his son. And then Benny gets a 911 page from Abe, and they go to Abe's store to find out what's going on.
Yes.
I have just a small clip of that here.
This here is another dark and
So it's Ken Lerner, right?
Powerful scene. Abe kills it in this scene.
Yeah, he does. Let's rewind this here. Right, here we go. So Abe's sitting in his jewelry store. And he doesn't. Yeah. Okay. So he gets up. He lets him in, and he says, it's a very dark day because I'm sitting in the. He said, why are you sitting in the dark? He goes, it's a very dark day.
It's a very dark day.
And Abe goes into really explaining to Benny that he knows who the murderer is, and that the community is devastated. His family is devastated.
The mother is on suicide watch. The father is just mush.
It humanizes Abe to me right off the bat. I mean, between him slapping the crap out of his nephew in episode 1 and this commitment to his community, and I think that's why he and Benny have an understanding.
Sure.
Right? And he said, and it's funny because he did this thing with his fist. He's like, I don't fucking think so about forgiveness, because what happened is the killer, Sal, reached out to Abe because they knew each other.
Yes, and he wanted him to get a rabbi outside of the community to forgive him before he turned himself into the police. And Abe agreed to do that, but obviously he's reaching out to Benny to let him know what's going on here. And when he knocks, it was basically around, should he get forgiveness for killing this boy before he goes into jail? And Abe's like, I don't fucking think so. So
And
very powerful scene.
And then he says right to Benny, my brother and I are prepared to give you
a building that we have.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Benny looks at Tommaso and says, we'll discuss that.
A compassionate move.
Yeah, we'll discuss that later.
A friendship move at that time, and I appreciated that as well. So Benny is driving his Grand National, and he's
Here's
starting
one of
to
those
feel
crooked shots that we see here.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the crooked shot signifying, what's going to be happening here. The rear view mirror, again, illuminating his face, And
he gets back home, and he looks up into his stoop, right, his door, and he flashes back to a memory of, and he has a little memory of him and his dad playing ball together, and maybe, thinking about the boy. And just kind of having that, his youth being brought up through what he's kind of going through with Abe. And then we have a scene where Benny calls his dad. And this is what Tommaso was talking about earlier in the day. And it's actually a really good scene.
Yes, reach out to your dad, and Benny calls him.
Let's see if I have it here. Here we go. There's Benny in his room. Here's the old phone. God, does anybody have an old phone anymore? There's a Grand National. And obviously we're calling Dad Jasper up in the Poconos.
Hello? Dad. Dad. Let's please talk.
I feel really bad for Benny in this scene. I feel really bad for him.
I do too. You know what I like about that? That Benny, when he called and he says, Dad, he didn't say it's me.
Was the only kid they have.
Exactly. But no, a lot of people say that, Dad, it's me. It's just like a weird thing. So I appreciate that wasn't in the writing.
Okay.
For what that's worth.
No, so I mean, he reached out and he's he's hurt. He's hurt. His dad won't even talk to him, and he could use that.
He feels like he
grounding.
needs a little bit of support right
Yeah,
now.
absolutely.
And who doesn't want their father's love or their parents' love? I mean, that's a given. So
the next scene is I really like it. It shows Virginia leaving her house. She has a beautiful house, by the way, that was left to her, and she's on her way to church.
Walking out so sassy, prim and proper, head held high.
And it's a really interesting montage. And then at the same time, we get a crooked shot of a Jewish synagogue. And Tommaso and Benny are dressed up as rabbis in a car we haven't seen before. I think it's an Oldsmobile, if I'm not mistaken. The scene kind of flip-flops between Virginia and the church praying.
Yeah.
She's saying "Our Father" as Benny is dressed as a Jewish rabbi goes into murder.
Yeah, it's a real interesting duality between the Catholic religion, her embracing religion, and Benny dressing up, in religious garb from another religion and going out and committing essentially,
heinous acts,
yes. Crimes in God's eyes, crimes in the law.
And it's showing, in my opinion, in a really delicate way, the further separation of the trajectories at this time in the storyline.
Yeah, just showing another wedge that's bringing between Virginia and Benny.
So they pull up. Abe introduces Saul Rosenberg, the killer, to the murderer. The guy who murdered, and says, "Here's these rabbis." And then next thing you know, he says, "Only if it were true." Benny takes off his beard, and actually they stab him.
They stab him. They got him right on up there, and I didn't like that Benny took his beard off. I was just like, oh man, why did you show his face? Why did you show your face? I don't think that was a good idea.
Because he's taken him out, and he wants him to see who sent him. Okay, he's responsible for the neighborhood. He's shipping him. This is who's doing it to you. Okay, this is the law, and that's what that is. Okay.
I'm just worried. I'm just like, don't show your face. No witnesses.
So right around 16, do I have this? I have a Body of Christ plays as Virginia takes communion, and the scene cuts to Danny Cuccio leaving his house. I don't know if
he's walking down his stoop in the dark.
So he's walking down the stoop. There's a Mercedes 500 SL red convertible there, and you see the 4-door Cadillac. Oh God, I don't have the model on this. I think it's a I don't even know. So it's coming up, and you see a gun come out, and they light up Danny Cuccio. That's it for him. He's not coming down for
Bye-bye,
dinner.
Danny.
Yeah, and you don't know who did it.
No, you don't know who did it.
For me, this scene also reminded me heavily of that baptism scene in Godfather 1, where he was while he was baptizing Connie's son.
He was out there handling all family business.
Right. So I'm not going to give it away. I really thought that was all Benny that took care of that. And it was really a great scene. Great scene, great editing. The edit job was fantastic in that, and it went super well. The next scenes are real heavy.
Yeah, and the next one you're surprised because Benny is sitting in his house and he's drinking and smoking, and you're just like, what is going on, Benny?
Yeah, let's play a little bit of it.
Last week. The shocking news is that the boy's clothes
So
were
he's
found stuffed in the victim's
clearly
mouth
drunk.
and
He's
around his
seeing the
neck.
news about the
It appears
boy.
to be a mafia-style murder. The parents of Jacob Pressman have
And
yet
he-
to comment on the murder of Saul Cohen, who apparently lives
having a hard
block
time
away.
with it.
This is Bonnie Jensen, Channel 10 News.
He doesn't even acknowledge the doc. He's in such a trance. And then he's like, oh, yes, somebody.
And you know what? Pause really quick. I was just noticing. I had thought that I saw an inscription on his. It's not.
It's not.
My eyes were playing tricks on me.
Yeah, I
I'm
noticed
sorry.
that. I noticed that when I was
I
shooting.
have one eye.
When I
so-
was shooting this.
So I'd like to retract my statement.
Yeah, Lisa's blind in one eye, so.
Sorry.
What the fuck, Benny? You disappeared for a few days, dodged my calls?
Don't ghost her.
Because you're fucking drinking? I've been frantic. I've been worried to death.
Yeah. So this scene,
Even her hair's disheveled. Benny's disheveled. The whole thing's going down.
and it really goes down. She says, I wanted a simple life my whole life. I would go to church to pray that things would get better at my house, and they only got worse. I had to patch my father up with his so-called doctor coming home with bullets in his stomach.
Yeah, we couldn't even bring him to the hospital.
I mean, and this is like everything that she
yeah,
doesn't
she's
want.
quite triggered right now.
Okay, that's a good word. She's definitely triggered.
Yeah. So so she leaves. He smashed.
Yeah, but what happens is Benny, because alcohol doesn't mix well with him, says some really fucked up shit, right?
Yes,
He
that's
insults her. He says,
you weren't
your
Carmine
father
Rizzo's
left
daughter.
left you real estate, and you can put your hands. Carmine Rizzo's daughter can put her hands on anybody she wants, and just doesn't pull over and just really spoils the whole situation.
Yeah.
And that was, I think that's that on that one.
I mean, it was probably what he's really thinking, but you shouldn't say your inside thoughts out loud sometimes. Benny.
Yeah, so she slaps him. He takes it.
She leaves. He throws his
smashes the glass on the
he
ground.
sits back on the sofa, and it's epic.
So when he does that, right, I totally get the crucifixion of Jesus Christ as he leans back and creates that on his couch. And I mean, it was a really great scene. And then we move on to 22 minutes and 40 seconds on the timeline, and they're taking a walk on the boardwalk.
Yeah.
And
Where are we, at Coney Island?
Yeah, we're at Coney Island, and I love the way this scene. The DP did an amazing job here, and I just want to talk about it.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
It looks beautiful. The director of photography, in my opinion, nailed this. I happen to love the shore down there. It looks so good. Like, damn, does he look good in that light, that golden hour. And he's upset. He
Pensive
wishes,
look on
yeah,
his
he
face.
wishes he could be a free bird, but he can't. Yeah. Oh God, it was such a good scene. The music, the nice passive piano playing. I don't know. I just really like the scene.
Yeah, I like his moto jacket and everything. He looks really good in that
So
scene.
he comes back, and the next scene, he's standing in front of Our Lady of Grace Church, and he's looking up at the chapel. And at 23 minutes and 25 seconds on the timeline, he goes into the church. And I do have some of this. I mean, I have some of this, and we're going to talk about some of this as well. So let's play what we have here.
Tell me something, St. Anthony. Was it much different in your world? In his world? With his crew? St. Peter? What did he do? He couldn't stand up. He denied that man 3 times. And you guys made him a saint. I can assure you, there are no saints in my world.
Yeah. So he says, I can assure you there are no saints in my world. And, what did you expect me to do? And that's what he says. He brings up, yes, I love that man, talking about his dad, and he gets emotional. And he says that he won't even call him. He won't even speak to me. And then he says, I'm fully at peace with my decision. And he brings up, Jewish or not, I'm fully at peace with my decision. Just basically saying, that's who I am. Just like he said before, I'm a soldier, and he walked out in the last episode. And just then, boom, the church parish doors open, light pours in, and two hitmen come walking into the church and start firing guns at Benny. Benny was about to get shot by, it's a total gun war inside the pews, everything.
Yes, it's in the church.
In the church, I couldn't believe that it was happening in the church. And Benny gets to a point where these guys are about to take him out. And all of a sudden, bam, 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 Mikey the Hat comes from behind, and shoots all of these guys. And then
gets them out of there.
You see St. Anthony looks on, and we fade to black. And the song by Francis Maggiano plays, Raised in Brooklyn. And what an amazing song that is. And it totally crushes the credits into the show.
Yeah, and what a way to end season 1
Unbelievable.
Of Gravesend.
Where is Benny? He's been shot. Who shot him? Who took out all these other guys? What's going to happen with Gino? There's so much to wonder what's going to happen in season 2.
Well, stick around, because the Talking Gravesend podcast is going to cover season 2.
Come on, I can't wait to get in production on season 2. We need a couple of days to do a few other things. We're going to jump right back in. There's only 9 episodes. I think we can get it done in about a week. And we'll be ready for the final premiere.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't want the final premiere, but the premiere of season 3.
Season 3. They just wrapped. I cannot wait.
Come on. So
let's watch it together.
Let's say a few things before we let him go, Lisa. Number 1, make sure you follow Gravesend Series on HBO. Follow Gravesend Series on Facebook and Instagram. They have a great social media feeds. Go ahead and follow all of the actors that are in the show. Also, My Brooklyn Brands is a great company. With
I want one of those sweatsuits.
We want one of these sweatsuits. Go ahead and follow them on social media as well. They're on Instagram and Facebook. And while you're following all of these things, make sure you follow the Talking Gravesend podcast Facebook page and our Instagram page as well. And if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel, share the show, let other people know who love Gravesend about the Talking Gravesend podcast.
They may want to talk about it with us.
And Lisa and I just want to have a special message out to the cast, the crew of Gravesend. We love what you've done here, as you can clearly tell from our dedication and really our excitement, right, of what you have put on the screen. And we just want to say thank you to William DeMeo and everybody who has participated in Gravesend, just because we love the show so much, and it's been a lot of fun doing this show and watching the show. I hope you've enjoyed the first season, and get ready for season 2. Talking Gravesend podcast coming very soon.
All right, my name is Lisa Demaro. This is my husband, Chris, and we'll see you on the next Talking Gravesend podcast.
Ciao.
Ciao.